yesteryear. And here we are approaching the 14th of Tammuz. It's going to be the Hilula of a really great rabbi from the 1600s era, from the great time period, just after the time period, the Ariya Kadosh, part of that elite, incredible rabbi, Rabbi Yosef Matrani Z'tl. He was actually born back in English year, I believe, 1568, and he passed away in the year 1639. So he was approximately at age of passing, he was around 71, 72 years of age. It's actually interesting. He was actually known as a Maharit, very great thing, or a very, very great, prestigious rabbi, and a lot we are going to discover and say within regards to the great Kacham. It's actually interesting within regards to rabbi. So we said Yud Dalet Tammuz was is his Hilula. He was one of the great poskim of his era. He was the son of Rabbi Moshe Mtrani, also who was also another really great rabbi. Also the famous rabbi that many of you would have heard of. Part of the great rabbanim of Tzfat. Remember, Tzfat had the greatest rabbanim at the time, especially the Ariya Kadosh and Rav Chaim Vital, many of the rabbis from this specific 150 year era. He was able to answer thousands and thousands Sheilot and Shuvot. We're going to actually explore over. He was a master inside the Gemara, and we're going to learn that he was a Chacham Bashi at a later stage in Turkey and was a Shadar in Bekושטא. So he said he was born in the year 1568. I believe on the English date, the Hebrew date was Chav Vav Tishrei, respectively. He was born in Tzfat. Tzfat is one of the 4 holy cities in Israel, and his father was the famous Mabit. And I think he was his mother was the daughter of Rabbi Yosef Kalai, if I'm not mistaken, also. And it's actually at a young age. I think at around the age of 12, his father sadly passed away. And I think there was, unfortunately, plagues around at that time period. It was reported over. And shortly afterwards, I think he got married. And I think his brother-in-law was his brother-in-law's name. He became the brother-in-law of Rav Shlomo Karo. Now, who is Rabbi Shlomo Karo? Very, very important. He is the son of the famous rabbi, the Maran, as we call, Rabbi Yosef Karo, who we've spoken about before, who is author of the Code of Jewish Law, the Shulchan Aruch, respectively. So massive, so in turn, related to one of the greatest rabbis of all time, he was. And I think at that stage, in his teenage years, he actually went to Mitzrayim, to Egypt. And I think he was, at the time, he was in connection with Rav Shlomo Sagis, who was another great rabbi. And afterwards, I think there was plagues going around at the time. He moved to Eretz Israel, and he went back to Tzfat. And I think between the years 1594 to 1595, at that point of time, he was in his mid-20s. Another plague reportedly broke out in Tzfat, and I think he had to actually went to Jerusalem at that stage in time, and over there he started writing some of his great works. I think we did a sefer, if I'm not mistaken, on the temple, the Bet HaMikdash, respectively, and I think he wrote kuntruses on different on the Shas, and there was a kuntras on the name Kuntras Tzurat Habayit, if I'm not mistaken. That might have been connected to the temple in of itself, and I think he actually moved back shortly afterwards to Tzfat. Again, I'm not too sure if the plague had stopped at that point in time, and there was famine, I think, in Tzfat. There was troubleships in those areas at that point in time, and I think he was connected very strongly, learning with Rabbi Avram Shalom Hasheni, and he was actually working as a shadar also, and was teaching and also raising money for the Kehillah, the various Kehilot in Eretz Israel. And afterwards, I think he went out to Bekושטא, I think, which is modern day Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. Bekושטא is a place that we've spoken about on many occasions. It's always an old city. It is in of itself, of Istanbul, and by Istanbul itself. And I think he was working in Shlichut there for 2 years, and in the year 1599 he returned to Tzfat again. So he had come and gone from Tzfat on many various occasions by this point, and became the rabbi he was appointed the rabbi of a congregation over there after the passing of Rabbi Yaakov Berav, another great rabbi I believe we've spoken about also. And he was also there. And after, I think it was difficulties, I think, in Tzfat for various reasons, which is spoken about. There was famine and plagues, unfortunately, over there. He actually went back, and he went back to Chutz La'aretz, if I'm not mistaken, over there. And he, at that point in time, I think he went back, traveled through Koshtá, and was there. And over there, he ended up teaching in Turkey. He became a very, very prestigious position and teaching in yeshiva in Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. Had one of the greatest set of Talmud Chacham, arguably, that you could have, including Rabbi Chaim Ben Avisti, who's author of the colossal Torah, the HaKnesset HaGedolah. He is actually the rabbi of Yoshua Raphael Ben Avishti, also, who wrote the Seder Yoshua. Also, another one of his students was Rav Shmuel Halevi Bekושטא, another really great rabbi who was a posek and a Rosh Yeshiva in Koshtá, respectively, during the 1700s, which is very, very interesting. There's Rabbi Chaim Ben Menachem El Ghazi, also, who actually become the rabbi of Rhodos, I think in Greece, modern day Greece, and the author of the colossal work, the Sefer Bnei Chayai. Also, Rabbi Avram Ben Chanina was another really great rabbi who he was a rabbi of, who we should mention again. Also, it was who I would think later on became a rabbi in Hebron and a posek halacha also, and was part of the Tzfat elite. Rabbi Chaim Abulafia, also Harishon. He was another, I believe, a Talmud of his, Rabbi Aaron Lepapa, another great rabbi that we have spoken about before, who was one of the great rabbis of Turkey, also who become Rabbi Abraham Hecheni, also Rabbi Zricha Gota, Rabbi Chaim Elfandari. That was, I believe, another one of his students, who was another really great rabbi. Also, we've spoken about some of the great rabbi Elfandari, so Rabbi Yosef Chazan, another rabbi that was actually born in the year 1698 and born in 1618, passed away just before that, started the 18th century in 1698. So he had really, really great rabbonim over there. And it's interesting. I believe he was close with many other rabbonim also over there, and he wrote more books, including the Sefer Mitzvat Gadol, and was in close contact, I think, with the Smag himself, also another great rabbi over there. And what's interesting, I think after 20 years, he actually he came to Koshtá and was appointed. They appointed him over there as the Chacham Bashi of the area, the chief rabbi of the place, respectively. And he received thousands and thousands of she'elot. And I think he founded a Bet Din over there in this place. Also, he was teaching the laws of Isur V'Heter also. He passed away eventually in the year 1639 in Yud Dalet Tammuz, in the Hebrew year Shin Tzadik Tet. And many of the great rabbis gave, they spoke of the highest amount of him, especially after he passed away in the Hesped, respectively. And including Rabbi Azariah Figo, I hope I pronounce his name also. Also Rabbi Yosef Matrani and many of the great rabbis also. And I believe he was buried, if I'm not mistaken, in Koshtá, but then at a later stage they moved his body to Tzfat, if I'm not mistaken, and I think it was revealed in the year 2008, 16 years ago, where he was actually buried, if I'm not mistaken, over there also. So he wrote many great books. So let's just explore the books that he wrote again during his life. There was a Perush on the Run. That was one of the books that he wrote. Also on the Rif. Also, these are great, the greatest commentators of all time. And on the Rambam also. And there was on the Ram itself a Perush on Rashi. This was that he actually wrote. Rabbi Eliyahu Mizrahi, who was a great posek of halacha also. And I think when he reached the age of 70, a year before he passed away, I think more books were actually printed. There was Chidushah and Masechet Kedushin that was actually printed. Chalakim on Ktuvot also, I think it was printed in the year 1644. That would have been, I believe, 5-6 years after he passed away. I think that was actually printed in Venice, in Venezia, if I'm not mistaken, in Italy. There was a great, huge printing press over there at that time. Many of the great Torah books were printed in Venice. There was a Shut on the Maharit, which was put into 3 halakim. Also, there was a Perusha on the Sefanat Paneach, also, which is on the Torah and the Moadim, the festivals itself, specifically, was also printed. And many great Sfarim also. There was a book on the Bet HaMikdash, the temple, which we spoke about before, and there's a Sefer Shemot Gittin, also, which is another book, which had the Chidushim, the teachings of the Maharit also. And many of the Masechtot, the various Masechtot in the Shas, also in the Gemara, respectively. Also, he was one of the really great rabbis of the 15 and 1600s, and was one of the great Turkish rabbis of all time, as we just mentioned before. His rabbi was Rabbi Shlomo Sagis, who was a great rabbi and a Mekubal and a posek, and he was, I think, the rabbi of the main yeshiva, also an Av Bet Din of Tzfat, also. So that just to stress over. Also, we talked about some of his Talmidim, including Rabbi Chaim Ben Avesti and Rabbi Aaron Lapapa, also, and he was one of the greatest rabbis of all time. We also mentioned before his father was Rabbi Moshe Matrani, who was also, who we mentioned before, just to add on about him, he lived between the years 1500 to 1580. He lived himself. He himself, his father, was Rosh Yeshiva and a great posek, also one of the great chachmei of Tzfat, respectively. And Tzfat is somewhere we've spoken about before. We've spoken about many of the great rabbanim also, which has to be stressed out. And friends, it's his Hilula here on Yud Dalet Tammuz. So I urge everyone, please light candles in his memory. And I think he passed away. The modern era, Bקושטא, is Constantinople, in the part of the old Ottoman Empire, I believe, at that stage in time. So wishing you all a fantastic day. Take care. Watch over the previous videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and watch over all the other videos. Wishing you all a great day here from Israel.